What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm Paquetia, and if you're new here, I have been recording a series of videos just kind of reflecting on some of the lessons learned when I started my business and some best practices as I move forward. Also, just kind of reassessing and changing some things up. So today's video, I want to talk about something that I've been recently thinking about, and I think it's a really important conversation because owning a business, running a small business is definitely not for the faint of heart. So today's video, I want to focus on the 3 things that you're probably doing to yourself to discourage you from either getting started in your business or just making progress. All right, so here's my first one. Judging your start against someone else's progress. This is such a fatal flaw. It is like the death blow in Mortal Kombat. It definitely happens to the best of us. I mean, analyzing your progress, what you're doing, your ability to move forward based on your perception of what someone else is doing. We all do it. Imposter syndrome is a real thing, but this is just one, it's really unnecessary, right? Because you don't have all the details as to why someone is doing something and how they managed to, make the progress that they've made. You don't really have all the details and all the context. So trying to figure out how you can kind of compare yourself to where they are in their process it takes a lot of energy, and it's really discouraging, especially if you believe that maybe they have some advantage over you, or maybe they have some inside information that you don't have access to, and it helps them kind of get further down the line. I definitely think that it is a good idea, right, to kind of see someone else kind of moving along in their process and take that as motivation. You can see something and be inspired by it, and then you aspire to be able to kind of move in the same vein. But looking at it from kind of a negative perspective of, just kind of counting what you don't have against what you perceive them to have is just, it really will rob you of your motivation, and it just only further adds to the emotional roller coaster that is being an entrepreneur. One of the things that I learned to do instead was, instead of looking at someone else's progress or maybe another business and wondering, when am I going to get there, or whatever the case is, instead of looking at that from a negative lens, take some of those aspirational things that at some point you really want to see yourself accomplishing, and treat them as milestones. And then once they're milestones, you can build some kind of action plan on how you're going to reach those milestones. So make them goals instead of, making them obstacles, or making them into, something that becomes negative and discouraging, and robbing you of motivation, and ultimately robbing you of the very progress that you're looking elsewhere to kind of find. So again, instead of looking and judging yourself and your progress against where they are, or your ability to just get started, use those things really as fuel, right? To help you move forward, to build out your action plan, and use them to create some milestones and some actionable steps, things that you can work towards and start really showing some progress. This leads me into point number 2, and that is not planning for success. I just said, instead of looking at somebody else's progress in a negative way, use those milestones to kind of help you create your personal action plan. One of the biggest stealers of progress is just not having a plan, and so you're just kind of freestyling your way to success. We know that goal setting really is not wishful thinking. However, when the majority of people talk about setting goals or having a goal, it's more aspirational, and there's really no work or thought put into it. Real goal setting is a thoughtful process. It includes creating milestones and some tasks and some actionable deliverables and all of those things so that you are able to check in and you're able to check against your progress and the process. You're able to make changes, recalibrate, do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you can continue moving the ball forward. So if you're not planning for success, then you are inadvertently planning for failure. I like to say that this is your ability to inspect what you expect. A friend of mine told me a couple days ago that if it is supposed to be successful, if it has value, it is measurable. You need to be able to measure it. And so that is in dollars and cents and in effort, in actions, in energy expelled, all of those things. But when you don't plan, when you really don't have a real good business plan, you don't even have a solid idea, you're kind of doomed before you get started. I ended up enrolling in a cohort. And, maybe I'll talk about this because the world is full of cohorts and coaching and all kinds of things, and people spend hundreds to thousands of dollars and they don't really get any sound information. I was able to enroll in the Blaze Business Initiative. It was amazing. She actually provided us with lots of toolkits to be able to construct our very solid business plan, to understand kind of financial obligations and financial opportunities, just the gamut of things that you would need to consider, things that I probably wouldn't have considered on my own before I got started. I highly recommend seeking out someone to be able to help you if you don't understand what constructing a good solid business plan should look like. But then even beyond that, right, planning doesn't stop after you kind of officialize, if you will, your business plan. Once you put your business plan in place, your business should have some kind of goals and metrics that you're trying to meet, ongoing. That's the only way that you'll know if you're being successful, if you're on the right track. And I mean, as a small business owner, I will tell you success is relative, right? Because it cannot be based on what somebody else is doing, what's in your social media feed. We know social media is it is an abstract construct of what other people are imagining. Most of it's not really happening. Or if it is happening, we're missing a significant piece of the puzzle when people are telling their stories. You can only tell the highlights. You don't always get all the dirty parts of somebody's story because, that's not going to get the likes and clicks, right? So it really is important to make sure that you have a solid plan because you want to know where you started. You definitely want to know where you are right now. And then what's the plan moving forward? Where do you want to be? And then how quickly do you want to be there? I think sometimes in the idyllic space of creating something and then forming a business, sometimes we romanticize the idea of being a business owner, the idea of selling a product, but we have no idea how to execute on all of that. So it all ends up being muddy water. It just becomes a really difficult situation because you don't know how to get out of what you don't know that you're already in. So making sure that we are able to inspect what we expect, that we have a plan in place and we know how we're moving forward. Having that plan early in your small business will definitely help shape how your business moves forward. I think maybe my first year and a half, I just didn't really even constructing, and I didn't construct my business plan in the beginning, right? I think I was just maybe the first year. I've been doing these things professionally in my corporate role. I'm just going to transition and start doing things on my own. And yes, it worked and it was working. But at some point, just my own discomfort forced me to kind of slow down and think, I probably need to write some things out to make sure that I'm doing things effectively, and not doing things that I don't enjoy, that I know where all the dollars are going, all of those things. Even what types of clients I want to work with. It's so important that you are able to document all of that stuff. And that's all part of the plan, right? It's all effective goal setting. I created the strategy journal specifically because I wanted to outline what proper performance management looked like, tracking those milestones, celebrating your success, and all of those things. So it's really important that you are doing that. You are effectively making goals and measuring yourself against those goals. My last one, I feel like, is the most important one, and that is simply forgetting why this whole thing was important to you in the first place. So I think that when, like I said before, we kind of we romanticize what it means to own a business. It's because we have a dream of being able to create something. And as creators, everybody's like Erykah Badu. I'm sensitive. But I think when you have an idea of bringing something to the market because you've created it, you're passionate about it, no matter what it is and how you got to where you are, why you decided to go down that path is so important. So much so that I feel like risking your dreams to compare them to what someone else is doing, what some other brand has and you don't have, or resources that they have and you don't have. When you take that in as a deficit to yourself, you make yourself and your dreams feel small and unattainable. I think it's really important to always slow down and make sure that the why is still at the forefront of every decision that you're making going forward. Even if that decision is because you feel like you've gotten too far away from why you started, or because you've gotten too big and your why, remembering what was really important kind of in those early days, doesn't really, it's not resonating with you or your product or your service anymore. One of the things that I had to start doing was being mindful of who I would share my successes with, who I was sharing my plans with, not necessarily kind of moving in silence, but certainly moving with regard and respect, that I was kind of sharing precious cargo with people that really weren't worthy to carry it. And by precious cargo, I mean my dreams and my ideas, my vision. Everybody should not be a part of that process. So I really needed to make sure that my creative circle could be trusted, and that they would honor the ideas. And even if they had maybe something that was counter to what I was saying, constructive criticisms or whatever, that they did it in a way that was honorable, and it didn't try to diminish me or the plans that I had, right? And so sometimes you have to, just not share things with people, even if those people have the best of intentions. I don't ascribe to everybody as a hater. I don't think everybody is a hater. I do think sometimes that people just aren't aware that maybe if they're sharing their negative experience, how it might impact you. And some people are just Debbie Downers. And I think in sometimes in their heart of hearts, they think they are just being cautious and they just want to be able to make sure that nothing bad happens to you or anything like that. But, they are just Debbie Downers. And so you just want to be careful that you're not sharing, that you're not exposing yourself or opening yourself up to undue kind of stress or discouragement, right? Because again, I will say this again and again, entrepreneurship, owning a small business, creating something is not for the faint of heart. You are going to have enough moments where you're like, why? Why am I doing this? I want to quit every day. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, whatever the case is. So you just want to make sure that you are not, opening yourself up to unnecessary battles, right? And then the other thing is, you will start to repeat what you hear. And if you are surrounding yourself with voices that are always highlighting the negative and never bringing up positive things, never trying to motivate or inspire you, you will start to repeat what you hear, and self-deprecation will become kind of the rule of thumb. And that's really not how you want to start out of the gate. Look for opportunities to just clean up your creative circle if that's possible. And I'm not saying you got to cut people off and all of that, but you can just dial back how open you are to talking to everybody. Venting to everybody is not productive, and it is not fruitful. I think you can have some safe spaces where you're able to vent, and it can be a healthy and constructive discourse, right? Like, you can vent, you can talk about the problems, and then somebody who really supports you and wants to see you win, they're going to let you get that off your chest. But then now, not only do we need to get back to work, but let's find some solutions so that we can move forward and never cross this bridge again. So again, these are really just some of my lessons learned and my go forward best practices. I really, really, really try to surround myself with people who understand what I'm experiencing and what I'm going through. Operationally, I had to make sure that I didn't have any blind spots. And so my husband is now part of, or not part of just my team, but he is leading my operations. And so he is a wonderful sense of cover and eyes and ears for me. Sometimes when we're out here on our own, we are just taking it all in, and we really need somebody that is, their job is to raise the sword for us, because sometimes we just think like, no, this is okay. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. And it's because we're too close to something and you just can't tell, like, that ain't how it's supposed to be. So making sure that you are surrounding yourself by people that really have your best interest in mind as you're moving forward in just navigating entrepreneurship. I feel like sometimes we neglect our mental health and just our physical wellness. Sometimes we need to rest. Girl, you need a nap and a snack. Like, you just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and not allowing self-deprecation to become part of your identity as you're moving forward in starting a business. So again, as I always like to do and run my points back, the first lesson learned here is not judging your start by somebody else's progress. You can look at their situation and, pick some things that you aspire to and turn those into milestones, and then make a plan to chart forward and reach those milestones. The next one is not planning for success, making sure that you are inspecting what you expect, that you have a good solid plan at play. You've not only your business plan, but you've got like your monthly and your quarterly plan, your overall performance plan exists somewhere, and you're working towards actively reaching those milestones. Again, our strategy journal is the perfect resource for working with your team and creating those performance milestones. The last and the most important is forgetting why you started down this path to begin with. Keeping your why close to your chest, protecting your vision, protecting your creativity, protecting your sanity and your peace. All of those things are so very important, not to just start your business, but to be able to maintain through all of the hurdles of running and owning and growing your small business. So with that said, if you stayed to the end of this video, then for sure like the video, because clearly you did. You stayed to the end. Drop me a comment if any of these life lessons or best practices are resonating with you, especially in this series, like the video, share it with somebody who could use some extra encouragement, and please, by all means, subscribe to the channel. Leaving a comment helps the algorithm. It tells it that you like the stuff that I'm doing, and it tells me that you like it as well, and I appreciate it. So with that said, I will see you in the next video. I'll talk to you later. Bye.